Hey everybody. Aiden, if I could ask little Aiden to come up, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for justice stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for justice for all.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here with all of you, and I want to thank you for coming out. And I know there's a lot going on in our community. It's one of the last few nice weekends before our winter starts to kick in or the cold weather starts to kick in. So I really appreciate you taking a time to come here today and be with me and rally support for what we truly believe in, which is that we want to preserve the United States of America. We want to ensure that future generations have the same opportunity that we have had. We want to ensure that we preserve its limitless potential and the American dream. Now, my mother is here today. Mom, let me just acknowledge you before I forget. Of course, I won't forget. My mother, as many of you know my story because I've spoken to various veterans groups in the past, and I talk about this because it's truly special to me. My mother is a refugee of Cuba. She fled here to escape the communism of Fidel Castro. And I see many veterans here in the room or outdoors who went to war to stop that very spread of communism throughout the world. And to me, this is a very important election because we do have people who are pushing a socialist agenda. And to me, this election is truly about preserving this nation and the American dream, or whether we are going to move down a path of socialism. Some people in Washington, there's the obvious ones, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, are trying to bring the very policies to this nation that millions of immigrants, like my parents, fled. And those who are before us fought to preserve this great nation, our freedoms, our liberty. So first, let me say thank you. Thank you to all of you for your service. Now, we're joined by some veterans who are here today. I just want to give an opportunity to say a few words before I talk briefly. One of them, I'm so thrilled he was able to make it today, and that is my new buddy, Teddy Bertone, who is a World War II veteran. He is the only World War II veteran here today. He's the only World War II veteran here today. And God bless you, Teddy. Thank you for your service. And it's really an honor to have you here with me. And I'm so blessed that I was able to meet you. And it was through odd circumstances, me just reading the editorial pages of the Staten Island Advance and a beautiful letter that you wrote to the editor. I'm glad that our paths have crossed and that you're here with us today. I'll allow his daughter to say a few words if you'd like to on behalf of Teddy and the family. Her name is Nicole as well. And the son-in-law.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nicole. And thank you all veterans for serving. We would never be the nation we are without you. Thank you. The way we came across is that my father-in-law, who's 95 now, never had a formal certificate to acknowledge his U.S. citizenship. His father came from Sicily during World War I and volunteered for the United States Army and fought for the United States during World War I. Back then, as reward for that, the United States government rewarded his father with automatic citizenship. after that point, Teddy was born in Sicily. His father stayed in America and wanted to get a better life going for his family in Sicily. When Teddy was 12 years old, Mussolini came to power, and the fascists decided, we're going to get all these kids to become part of the new movement. At that point, his father realized, I got to get my family out of Sicily. Although Teddy was born in Italy and in Sicily, he was a United States citizen because of his father's naturalization. He came to the United States with his family. World War II broke out. What did Teddy do? Joined the U.S. Navy, followed in his father's footsteps. Didn't do it because he needed it to become a United States citizen. Did it as a service to this country. All these years later, after discussing it with the family, he goes, I never really had anything to prove I'm a U.S. citizen. So as his 93, 94-year-old comes to us and says, what do? We do some research. And of course, the bureaucracy of the federal government is you have to go through paperwork for the U.S. Immigration Service. We put in for that, and as part of a benefit of being a veteran, they're supposed to waive the $1,000 fee. We put in all the paperwork. Of course, they send it back, rejected. Where's the fee? Back and forth with this. I'm saying the man's time is limited. Every day is a gift. So what do? I follow the chain of command. Who do I go to? I go to our Congressman, Max Rose. I speak to about 4 or 5 different people in his office, have no clue what I'm speaking about. Eventually someone does come to quote-unquote help. In the meanwhile, Teddy goes, I'd love to speak to the congressman. I got a lot of problems with the VA, medicines, doctors. Other than this, there's a whole problem. Let me get a chance to speak to somebody in the government. We send letters, we send everything in. COVID hits. There's a slowdown. All of a sudden I get a notice. Oh, it's ready to go. He's going to get a certificate. I reach out to Max Rose's office again. It's like hearing crickets. You don't hear nothing from them, anything. He gets disgusted. My wife gets disgusted, who's his daughter. Says, you know what? We got to get the newspaper involved. We write through him, we write a beautiful letter to the editorial explaining about how the so-called, unquote, congressman who cares about veterans did nothing. I get a call from somebody. Hello, George? Yes. Hi, this is Nicole Malliotakis. I go, who? Are you kidding me? You're calling me direct? I saw the article. This is a disgrace. We're going to take care of this for you. That was on a Friday. On a Monday, I get a call from the Immigration Service. Says, we'd like to come to your backyard tomorrow and officially recognize your father-in-law as a United States citizen. What I like to say is that we never came to Nicole because I followed the chain of command. I went to the Congress. It's a federal program. I have a state assemblywoman for no other reason that understood that a 94, 95-year-old veteran who every day wakes up as a gift shouldn't have to wait and have to wade through paperwork, and understood the complexities of this. This is the type of person that we want, that's proactive, not reactive, that understands what it needs to be done for people that don't go out of their way to ask for help, but understands that people do need help. So there's a reason why we all need to back her and get her into Congress. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have to tell you, it was one of the most beautiful, and I was invited to the ceremony. It was very nice that they invited me to attend. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed, to see how proud he was to finally take his oath of office and sign that certificate. Really, unfortunately, there are too many people who don't appreciate that they are citizens of this great country. And to see how proud Teddy was that day, really, I cried with everybody else that day, and I bought him a bottle of champagne. I hope you drank it, Teddy. But Teddy just celebrated his 95th birthday about a week ago.
I appreciate everything that you did, because if you only knew my life in Sicily when Mussolini came in, it's a different thing that this country really does for all its people. It's a shame. And I love this country, and I'm sorry with all of the trouble it's going through. I hope you could help to straighten it out. Thank you.
Now he's making me cry again.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you, Teddy. I wish you many, many more happy birthdays. And I'm always going to think of you when I'm down there. I'm going to think of you and do the best I can do for our veterans. Lee, come on up, please. Join. Actually, before Lee, can we have Jean? Jean, would you like to say a few words? Jean is a very well-known Vietnam veteran in the community who I have a lot of respect and admiration for.
Thank you. I'm only going to say a few words here, but one of the things that has to come across, I'm also part of New York State Veterans Affairs Commission, so I do come across a lot of veterans. And I am not here as the president of the Vietnam veterans. I cannot do that. I'm here as a veteran. Now, one of the things I come across a lot is when I talk to veterans about who they're going to vote for, a lot of them turn around and tell me, well, Max Rose is a veteran, I'm going to vote for him. So what we have to clarify here is, as we are veterans, we are all brothers. That is a given. No matter what happens, veterans are brothers. Wars, whatever. But that has nothing to do with this. And that's what we have to get across to other veterans. What, in the first place, you can't bring a man into office that wants to impeach a given president. That cannot happen. And that's what he wanted to do. Okay? And then the second thing is, he is not suited for this job like she is. And we have to get that across to veterans. Don't vote because he's a veteran. He served his country honorably. He did a great job. But that has nothing to do with this. We need people here like Nicole to get this place straight. We need to keep... I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm independent. But the way the Democratic Party is going right now, we cannot have them in office. It's impossible because this country is going to go to shit. Excuse me for saying it. All right? So just when you're out there with veterans, get that message across to them. Honor him, he's a veteran, but don't vote for him because he's a veteran. Thank you.
Lee Covino? Lee Covino is someone that everybody here knows because not only is he a proud Army veteran, but he's somebody who really has worked so diligently over the years, serving multiple borough presidents, working very hard to establish clinics and services, mental health, peer counseling. He's been somebody who has done peer counseling for our veterans over the years and has really been, as long as I've been in government, was always a go-to person for veterans, outreach and working with them and trying to build coalitions and, of course, making sure that they have the services that they need. Lee Covino.
Thank you. Thanks. Well, it's good to see a lot of familiar faces here because I haven't spoken in public since I retired in 2014. But anyway, I've known Nicole since the day she came into office, which was 10 years ago. And I don't know how she did it, but she stayed looking young, and look what happened to me. Anyway, I don't ask a lot of an elected official. One thing I want is that they're honest. They're not in office to make money for their family or whatever. The other thing I want is no nepotism. You don't hire your nephew and that kind of thing. And the third thing, which is very important, is constituent services. It's something that was a hallmark for Guy Molinari, who I work for. It was a hallmark for Jim Molinari. And it's been a hallmark for Nicole. And case in point, Teddy. When a veteran has to call a state assembly person because they're not getting any rhythm from the federal guy, this is a problem. And I've had that problem before because when I was in Borough Hall, there was a Vietnam vet who was in city council, and this goes back quite a way. And over the years, I kept getting calls from vets that went to his office with a problem, and they weren't getting the answers. So I'd help them out. Finally, one day I decided nobody was running against this guy. I ran against him, and I exposed that. It didn't help because I came in second, but to me, constituent service is really important. Nicole has been helping vets, even though some of the issues are federal. I know people who've gone to her, and I've shared a couple of issues that she's jumped on over the years, and that's the most you can expect from an elected official, responsiveness, and she's got that. I used to like Max Rhodes when I first met him. I figured, hey, he's got the blue braid, he was in the infantry, he was a captain, blah, blah. And if you read today's advance, you'll see one thing that gets in my craw. I wrote a letter on September 11th to the advance when an F-18 flyover was canceled. Army, for sure. Pelosi's Army. I don't agree with anything they're doing. Just like Gene said, we're at the precipice here. This country can go one way or the other. So it's time for all hands on deck. Now, Nicole, she's been to vet groups. She's been to many of our events. She was honored by the American Legion of Richmond County and the American Legion of Kings County. And they don't just do that for everybody. They do that for people who help vets. And she's one of them. So I hope you remember that. Tell all your friends. I have a little surprise for her. And I think it's a big upset. She's been endorsed by a national veterans group. And I'm just going to read part of the letter because it's very long. It's from the National Vietnam and Gulf War Veterans Coalition, incorporated in Washington, D.C., dated September 23rd. Honorable Nicole Malliotakis, RE endorsement. I would like to take this opportunity to express, on behalf of the National Vietnam and Gulf War Veterans Coalition, our appreciation for your willingness to serve our nation in the United States House of Representatives and to support those who have answered America's call to duty. Your experience, leadership, and patriotism are especially needed in the House of Representatives at this particular time in our history, when our beloved country is at risk, not only from foreign terrorists, but also from the advocates of extreme social and economic reform, including anarchists, and the weak politicians who failed to confront them. Accordingly, the board of the National Vietnam and Gulf War Veterans Coalition was polled and has approved the endorsement for your candidacy. So congratulations, Nicole. I'm sure your opponent is not going to like this, but you earned it.
Thank you, Lee. I'm honored to have your support as well as somebody who's so respected within the veterans community, but to earn the endorsement of a national organization such as the National Vietnam and Gulf War Veterans Coalition is truly an honor, and I will cherish that, and I will make sure I always remember it. During my time in the Assembly, I always made sure that I advocated for the issues that were important to our veterans community. Every year we have a veterans, every other year we have a forum where we get to meet with our veterans. I guess it's a candidates forum that the American Legion hosts, and there's a number of issues that always come up. Well, one of the things that I think is so important is the peer-to-peer counseling, the mental health programs, and as Lee mentioned, I was honored last year by the American Legions of both Richmond County and Kings County for continuing to advocate for the peer-to-peer counseling to expand what is known as the Dwyer program. But more importantly, my colleague from the state legislature, who is now a U.S. House of Representatives member, Lee Zeldin, is trying to take that program that has helped veterans and has always been a number one priority for the American Legion and make it a national program. So I am proud to say that one of the first bills that I'm going to be supporting when I get to Washington is going to be to work with Lee Zeldin to make the Dwyer program that is started right here in New York, a national program. And that is my very first commitment to you, that I'm going to be continuing to do what Lee has done for so many years, that peer-to-peer counseling and ensuring that our veterans have that. One of the other things I'm very proud of is at a time when the state legislature last year passed a bill that I had fought against for 8 years. I had fought against a bill that would give free college tuition to those who are in the country illegally. When the Senate flipped in 2019, they passed that bill, finally. And I think it was misguided. I think that we have so many citizens who are struggling to pay college tuition. And the fact that they passed that legislation under one-party rule was something that I was not happy with. But because we no longer had the votes to stop it, there was really little that could be done. About a week after that, a bill came forward in the Higher Education Committee that would have covered the college tuition for the children of military men and women. The children of military men and women who were either killed or disabled on duty. That bill was stopped from proceeding for a vote by the majority Democrats in the state assembly. We were really not happy with that. And my conference, the Republican Assembly Conference, really started to expose what was happening and how misguided and lopsided their priorities were. I was on Tucker Carlson's show discussing this issue. It was in Newsweek. All of my colleagues from the Republican conference in the state Senate as well had talked about this, how ridiculous it was that they would give a benefit to illegal immigrants but not give it to the children of military men and women who were disabled. The president, an hour after I was on Tucker, the president of the United States tweeted about this issue, saying how disgraceful New York was. And a week later, the governor announced that he was going to move forward and extend that benefit for these children. But that's why it's so important to have a balance in this city and in this state, because we expose what's happening under one-party rule. And it's so critical to have that, or else this would have never happened. It would have been killed in the committee. We would have left session. No one would even know about it. But that's why we have a two-party system in this country. Same thing happened with the bail laws that were passed. The bail law, which was a disaster, and I think is one of the prime reasons why we are less safe here in this city, and we have seen crime soar, was a bail law passed under one-party rule that went so far to even automatic release of people allegedly committing homicide, manslaughter, felony drug charges, strangulation, assault of a child, and various hate crimes. It was us that fought back. We really exposed it, and the media was on our side, and they exposed it. The bank robber that was repeatedly arrested and released back onto our streets 6 times in just a matter of weeks because of that law. And we were successful in getting the very Democrats and the governor who voted for it to backtrack and make fixes, including adding those crimes that I've mentioned back onto the list and putting in a provision that would prevent a repeated bank robbery like that. But that's the importance of having a two-party system. Now, here in New York City right now, we don't have one representative that's a Republican in Washington. That's important. That's important for multiple reasons, but more so to hold the other side accountable, to provide a contrast in the alternative viewpoint in a debate, and to have someone from our city who will work with President Trump. I became a point person to garner support for the U.S. Mexico-Canada agreement, which would bring billions of dollars into our state, create thousands of jobs, two biggest trading partners, Canada and Mexico, and not one person in the New York City delegation would work with the president. In fact, they all signed a letter written by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez attempting to delay or derail the deal, including our representative. But there's no president who has done more, in my view, for our veterans than President Trump has. And we need a representative who is going to work with him to deliver for our veterans, to deliver law and order, to stop socialism, to get our economy back on track. And that person is going to be me. I'm going to be that voice. So when we talk about expanding the Dwyer program and making it national, I want to work with President Trump and Congressman Lee Zeldin to do that. When it talks about setting aside percentage of contracts that government issues to our disabled veterans or veteran-owned businesses, I want to be a part of that discussion, just as I advocated for that. And we do have a 3% set aside at the state level, working with bipartisan, my colleague Felix Ortiz from Brooklyn, to achieve that. Declaring the Vietnam veterans of America to be a benevolent order so they get the same types of benefits as other organizations. I was a proud co-sponsor of that bill. And making sure that our service members get credit, pension credit, for the time that they served, regardless of where and when they served. That was something we did at the state level as well and needs to be further examined. But I want to continue to keep these promises to our veterans, to reduce the VA bureaucracy. We saw under President Trump, the Whistleblower Protection Act, 4,300 Veteran Affairs employees were removed, demoted, or suspended as a result of that legislation that the president passed. Ensuring that you have choice. And I've been helping a number of veterans, as Lee mentioned, with people who have gotten bills because they took advantage of the program to be able to seek health care where they wanted to seek their health care. And I'm helping with them because there has been a problem with the VA not covering the cost of that, and then veterans getting these bills that they were never supposed to get. But that was another fantastic thing that the president did, and we need to build on. And of course, we need to have a better focus on training and education, particularly young veterans who are returning and want to have be a part of the workforce and are transitioning to civilian life. There's a Helmets to Hard Hats program, which I'm a big fan of. And we need more programs like that give training to our veterans who are trying to assimilate back into civilian life, to give them a career, to give them opportunities, and we need to do more as a nation to ensure that. And then, of course, working with our president to address the issue of homelessness, to address the issue of suicide, issues that we have taken action regarding studying the homelessness to get real data here in the state of New York, but we need to do it nationally. So I want to thank all of you for being here and supporting me. I will, of course, continue the Veterans Roundtable, ensure that we have an open dialogue so I can continue to serve you in the best way possible to ensure that your needs are being addressed on the national and federal level, and that we improve the services at the VSA hospital that is right here in the district. And I can't do that without you, because all of you are the ones that utilize these services and know where the fixes need to be. So thank you very much for coming out today. Appreciate it. Sure.
Hi, my name is Kevin Collins. I've been on the island for a very long time. A lot of you will remember what we were flat on our back during Superstorm Sandy. And you also remember that the best way to measure anybody's character, but especially the characters of politicians, is what they do when nobody's around. Now, I can tell you, one day I was working with a group, I'm a retired cop, I was working with a group of retired cops and firemen, and I looked around and I saw Nicole in sneakers and jeans and a sweatshirt, working side by side with everybody else. No bells and whistles, nobody there to point out who it was, didn't say a word, just did the job like everybody else. And that's the job that she's going to do when she gets to Washington. So remember, today, there's an expression in the Marine Corps. Today is tomorrow. There are no more tomorrows. Everything's on the table. And if we don't win, we're in a very bad situation. This lady's going to help us save this country.
You always get nervous when someone who wasn't on the program says they want to say a few words. You don't know where they're going to go, but I appreciate that so much, Kevin. I know exactly where you live. You're in Great Kills, below the boulevard. I know exactly where you are and where I was during that time. I appreciate it. Look, I have nothing else that I want to really say. I just want to say thank you. It's been an honor and privilege to work with all of you over the last 10 years in the State Assembly. I look forward to continuing this relationship and ensuring that we take care of those who put so much on the line for this nation. And from Teddy down to our newest veterans who are returning and attempting to assimilate to civilian life, I want to work with each and every one of you because that is what you deserve. It's what you deserve from your government. You deserve people who are going to be responsive to you, particularly the veterans. So thank you so much, and God bless you all for coming out.